Well, a lot of surprises springing up at the African Cup of Nations as some big teams keep dropping points on their opening day matches. While in Australian Open, Naomi Osaka loses as Coco Gauff wins. There were some MPFL games played yesterday in the Nigerian Premier Football League, and Jose Pesero has given conditions to invite Nigerian Premier Football League players for the Super Eagles. Well, angry fans have attacked Ghanaian's coach Houghton at Team Hotel. Well, these and more will be coming to you right here on Rapid 96.5 FM. It is your sports breakfast show on radio. Well, I'm still your boy, Ima Explicit, and don't forget that whenever you call me Captain Explicit, I will definitely lead your team to victory. Well, I'm not alone in the studio. I have with me the midfield maestro, Ival Edu. Good morning, Ival.
Yeah, good morning, Mike Explicit. Good morning to our esteemed listeners. It's nice to be on Rush Hour Sports this morning, talking everything sports. And no surprises in the African Cup of Nations. Big teams are struggling to find their feet. Let's hope that in the second round of matches, we'll get the big teams finally clicking to gear. If not, this will be an AFCON to remember.
Well, it will be an AFCON to remember, but let's start off from tennis. Let's begin from Cameron Norrie, who has won. Britain's Cameron Norrie showed no sign of any wrist issue as he breezed into the Australian Open second round. Well, the left-handed player, who is seeded 19th, won 6-4, 6-4, 6-2 against Peru's Juan Pablo at the Melbourne Park. Well, before the match, Norrie said he was concerned by a problem with his left wrist, which forced him to pull out of an ATP event in Auckland 5 days ago. Do you think that was a way of him, what do they call it again? He was trying to psych up his opponent, Pablo, by saying that he has issues with his wrist before the game.
Well, players don't just talk, they talk because they have facts. So definitely he was struggling with an injury worry, but that did not deter him from beating Pablo Varela 6-4, 6-4, 6-2 in that particular encounter. Cameron Norrie for the last 2 or 3 seasons has been the British player to reckon with because he's come close to semis and quarterfinals of major tournaments, the Masters and also Grand Slams. He's also shown that he has quality, but not enough, to get himself 1 or 2 titles. But it was a nice game for him yesterday. Straight set win for a man who's struggling with a wrist problem. Really showed that if he was fully fit, he would have had a much more improved performance on the court against Juan Pablo Varela. So far, so good. I've not really seen upsets in the men's game. There have been regular names that have been knocked out so far. Marin Cilic, the likes of Stanislav Wawrinka. These are old-timers that, because of their fitness issue, the likes of Andy Murray, because of their fitness issue, they are really struggling, to make an impact. And their exit has not been surprising because these guys have not been fit. They've lacked game time. They've been rusty. And that's why the young guys who are coming in and doing so well are holding it down and giving them a run for their money.
Well, holding it down and giving them good run for their money. Talking about guys that are doing well, let's talk about Russian third seed Daniil Medvedev, who survived a scare as he fought back from a set down before his opponent Terence Atman quit in tears because of cramp in the Australian Open first round. Well, qualifier Atman won the opening set before Medvedev, who was the runner-up in 2021 and 2022, turned the match around. Medvedev led 5-7, 6-2, 6-4 when the Frenchman was forced to retire. Well, Medvedev gave Atman a good run for his money, and he had to quit because of cramps.
Well, interesting. Daniil Medvedev is a top dog in that particular encounter. You shouldn't expect anything less from him. In fact, going a set down was really a shocker. You're talking about losing finalists for the last 2 Australian Open finals. It really shows that he can push beyond his limits, if not for the likes of Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz, which he has met in these finals in Grand Slams. We should be giving 1 or 2 Grand Slam titles to Daniil Medvedev. The man has really been consistent over the years. The Russian has shown consistency. So I'm not surprised that he fought his way back, to get that that result. He has that in him. He's that kind of player that you think when the likes of Novak Djokovic and Rafa Nadal will take a bow from the big stage, then Medvedev and Carlos Alcaraz, as well as Zverev and Tsitsipas, should be the men to pilot the affairs of modern day tennis. And I'm not surprised that he got that victory yesterday.
Well, not surprised that he got that victory yesterday. Let's talk about Naomi Osaka, who highly anticipated Grand Slam return at the Australian Open ended in a narrow first round defeat by Francis Caroline Garcia. Well, the two-time champion Osaka at her first major since the US Open in September 2022 after giving birth last year, lost 6-4, 7-6, 7-2 to the 16th seed. She said she felt like she did her best and could possibly do the best she could possibly do, and was a little bit overthinking in her head.
I'm not surprised that Naomi Osaka is out. It's not easy, you know. Firstly, she left tennis for a while because of mental health issue.
Yeah.
And so when you leave the sport for that long, it leaves you because you're not having that life match action, not that life match activity that stretches you to your limits. She wasn't having it, right? And she now returned, and we heard about her pregnancy.
Yeah.
She's now the mother. You know, you wake up, you breastfeed, your hormones have kicked in.
Yeah.
You know, you're now looking fatter and, you know, a bit more heavier than you used to be. Sport is now something you now do as a bit of a plus to you, not what you do freely. So it's the issues. Even when we had Serena Williams, you know, return, you know, to the sport, we really knew that she would not be able to sustain, because at that point in time, you see that the hormones have kicked in. Serena wasn't running as easy as she was running.
Yeah.
The fat had added up. Now she's stretched and she's bothered about taking care of the child. Is the baby crying? Is the baby fine? You know, so the attention is
a
divided.
lot of things occupying her thoughts right now.
And for her, the baby is not up to even 4 months.
Yeah.
Right. So you're thinking about the nanny. Is the nanny doing well? Has the baby been fed today? Has the baby diapers been changed?
Yeah.
So you have a distracted attention right now, and the focus is not really on training, you know, but what you can do. But I really salute her return, because I think she has really done well for herself.
Yeah.
Still having that courage to return to tennis, having suffered a bit of, you know, firstly mental health issues, now childbirth, but to see her, Naomi Osaka, returning back to court and pulling her weight behind, I feel she did well. Caroline Garcia is not a pushover. The French international is actually very good in what she does.
Yeah.
And getting a victory against Naomi Osaka is not surprising, because even a fit Naomi Osaka, you know, can still be beaten by Caroline Garcia.
Okay, let me ask this question. You know, should we say that the female tennis players should, once you're pregnant, just quit? Because once they come back from childbirth, I think that is the beginning of the end of their career.
Not really. I think is it in US Open now? Last year, a mother of two returning back to the WTA was in the finals of the Grand Slam. I've forgotten the name now. I think she played Aryna Zabalenka in the finals of that particular Grand Slam. She was in the finals of a Grand Slam, and it was a wonderful story. We've had mothers return, right? Even Serena Williams herself, even though we want to say it took a toll on her, but we saw the consistency in playing in the finals, even as a mother. In fact, when she won her last Grand Slam, that was the 23rd Grand Slam, she was 4 months pregnant in that particular tournament. I've forgotten the tournament now, on which people are protesting that she competed as a double and not as a single, you know, because she had a baby in her. But again, it shows you what some athletes can actually do, you know. So yes, it has a toll on them, but some of the players have come back and really played well. Caroline Wozniacki as well is in that category. Yeah. There are several of them who are mothers that are back on court and are also giving other younger athletes a run for their money. But it is distracting. It is now a bit of let me just go there and see how far I can go. Even Serena Williams herself will attest to the fact that it's not that easy when you're returning from childbirth and you have extra responsibilities of your husband and your child to take care of.
Well, you have the responsibilities of your husband and your child to care for. Well, we have the responsibility of bringing you up to speed with everything happening in the world of sports. Well, right now we move straight up to the world of football as we talk about what happened yesterday in the MPFL. We just hit it and we run. Well, we've been joined in the studio by one of us, Bellumi King. Welcome, Bellumi.
Yeah, good to be here again. Thank you.
Well, good to be here. You're all suited up, looking so cute. Are you going for your wedding?
You should be eyeing to replace Chris Houghton, who has been beaten in Ghana, or possibly Jose Pesero.
Jose does not. Jose loves wearing jeans and a white shirt.
We need a well-dressed coach like this.
Welcome, Belumi. Good morning to you. Let's move straight to the Nigerian Premier Football League. Games played yesterday. Bayelsa United defeated Bendel Insurance 2-0 without their star striker Robert Migzo, who have moved to Ahila Benghazi right there in Libya. Sporting Lagos defeated Shooting Stars they played 2-2. Sporting Lagos and Shooting Stars shared the spoils. It was 2-2 between the two teams. Lobby Stars and Kano Pillars played out a 1-1 draw, and Katsina United defeated Remo Stars 2-0. And before we come to the game we have today, Bayelsa United defeating Bendel Insurance. Eva,
I think that's a surprising result for me. If there's anything I know Bendel Insurance for, is their resolute defense. They have a very mean defense in the league. They know how to keep it tight at the back, and so they rarely concede more than one goal in games. But when you have a Bayelsa United that has lost a man who scored 50% of their goals, scoring 2 goals in one match, then you have to ask yourself, what did Bendel Insurance do wrong or right on the day? I listened to the post-match interview of Mondo Digi. Typical of him, he was about attacking the journalists who were asking questions. He said the game has been played, we have played our own tactics, have been prevailed, and so on and so forth, and the boys will have to go back and work on themselves. See, I think Bendel Insurance have really not improved in terms of what they did last season. What they did last season, where they were good in defense, but they were not really having goal scorers up front because they played so many draws in the league. And Imade Osarehan, who was the man who was giving them those goals, have since moved to Saudi Arabia. Divine Nwachukwu, who was also a midfielder that was contributing to goals and also assists, was out injured for a very long time. I saw him post that he's returned back to full fitness, which is a very good news, right? So Bendel Insurance needed to fortify in terms of their attacking prowess, but it seems Mondo Digi is a coach who loves to keep it tight at the back, play more of a defensive style, get one goal and lock up shop. But this season, you must score goals to get to where you want to get to. You cannot go to the continental games and you don't score enough goals. You must get the goals coming in. For Bayelsa United, I'm happy for them that they can finally get 3 points in the bag and are living life better without Robert Migzo. Let's see how they fare in this weekend's fixtures.
Well, let's see how they fare in this weekend's fixtures. Pelumi, Katsina United defeating Remo Stars 2-0. Any surprises in that game?
No, I wasn't surprised by anything in the game because, like I said, the home support in MPFL is very, very important, and going to Katsina United to get the results, or any northern side to get the results, is away. Is always going to be a Kulian task. So I think Katsina United did not shock me by getting the win, and Remo Stars did not shock me by not getting the win, because like I said, home support is very important, particularly northern home support. It's difficult to beat any northern side in their home. It's very, very difficult because they come out en masse to support their team, and they have the home turf, and they have the weather and everything that supports them. So not really surprising, but kudos to Katsina United for taking advantage of the home support.
Well, kudos to Katsina United. Just so you know, the win Bayelsa United got yesterday lifted them up above Heartland FC. They are now out of the bottom of the table, although they are still occupying the 19th position. But they can proudly say that from behind, they are no longer first. From behind, at least from behind, they are now second on the log. All right, Heartland FC. They've gone back to, I don't want to say where they belong. They've gone back to where they are. What is wrong with Heartland FC?
The government, the state government, actually they should look at themselves and tell themselves, shame. Because there's no how you should bring in a coach who did not win a single match, right?
And bring him back.
You brought a coach back to come and replace the one who won 3 matches for you.
In 7 games.
In 7 matches, he won 3 matches for you in 7 games. Got points away from home in very difficult grounds.
Yeah,
you should be ashamed of yourself for removing such a coach. He did nothing wrong, and you threw him out and brought back another coach called Christian Obi to come and replace him because you have some affinity and connections with him politically or whatsoever it is. They should be ashamed of themselves. The state governor should be ashamed of himself, because I think the fans have told him that they don't want Christian Obi at the helm of affairs.
Yeah.
They want Kennedy Boboye, the man who came around and turned their fortunes. In the MPFL, you cannot play 12 matches, 6 maybe home and 6 away. And even in the home matches, you couldn't secure one win.
And
you're brought back into the position to do what?
to take them to relegation, take them back to where he brought them from.
So that's where they belong.
Well, that's where they belong. Where we belong right now is to go for a quick short break. And when we return, we talk about the Super Eagles. Someone has joined the camp. Terry Murphy is in the camp with the Super Eagles. We talk about that when we return. Do not move a muscle. Just stay.
The beauty go last year because
My guy, which kind paint I fit use wey go make my house go well?
Na Sackloss paint.
Paint wey go make my house shine.
Sackloss paint.
What about paint wey go last for plenty years?
Na still Sackloss paint. Sackloss paint na ogbonge paint wey don win both national and international award on top paint matters.
Abeg, where dem dey?
Dem dey nationwide. Sackloss paint get one ogbonge wey dem call Sackloss satin paint. If dirty touch the paint, you fit use water and soap take clean am cha-cha. Sackloss paint get other ones like emulsion paint, test coat, gloss, sack flash car paint, matte, industrial marine coating, red oxide primer, aluminium, screening paint, auto varnish, and other barbarous products. For that correct building paint wey you need na Sackloss paint. Their price na shipping. For more information, call
0701 855 2224.
Celebrating your family and friends has become cheap like a cup of tea, easy as ABC, and rapid like it should be. You can send birthday greetings and goodwill messages on Rapid FM for just 1,000 naira. Other events like weddings, child dedication, housewarmings, religious and government functions go for even less, 500 naira. Now, your loved ones have no excuse not to celebrate you rapidly on your day because all they have to do is visit our website at www.rapidfm965.com/request or call 07049 220965.
Well, welcome back from that quick break. Well, we promised you that once we return, we take you straight to the camp of the Super Eagles. Well, finally, the Ogisonis of France forward Terry Murphy has linked up with the Super Eagles team in Abidjan. Well, Murphy was called up last week as a replacement for the injured Victor Boniface, but his club demanded that he must play on Saturday. But now he is in camp. Is he going to help us win the game against Ivory Coast? King.
Given his latest form, I think he's going to at least help in the attack, particularly in an attack that has Moses Simon and Samuel Chukwueze. I think he's going to be a very big help for us. So I think he's a very good addition if he actually turns up to the party and plays for Nigeria as he plays for his club. Like I said yesterday, like it will be the difference between it will be at Fulham and it will be at the
Super Eagles.
Very, very different. So hopefully Terry Murphy doesn't throw that part, but instead becomes even better playing for Nigeria. So if he brings his club form, it's certainly going to be a great addition for us.
Well, if he brings his club form, it will be a great addition for us. Well, the midfield maestro, do you think as a midfielder, you think that the midfield of Nigeria is good enough to face Ivory Coast?
It's going to be a very tough task because we look at the Ivorian midfield. It's a certain Seko Fofana in that midfield. There's an experienced Frank Kessié. Played for AC Milan, played for Barcelona, although these days is languishing in the Saudi Pro League. But that's a very experienced midfielder who knows how to control. Yeah, it's languishing because we're not seeing any much
we're not hearing much from him again.
The players in the Saudi Pro League are now trying to return to Europe.
Yeah.
They are complaining about the culture, about the empty stadiums, about the weather, the training regimen, and the rest. So it's not about the money at the end of the day. Sometimes you realize that there's more to life than just having
just money.
Fat bank accounts. But let's talk about the experience of the midfield that the Ivorians have got. They have very young players. Some of the players coming in there are really holding their own in different club sides. Players like the likes of Krasos, he really played so well, covered himself in glory. Not forgetting Seko Fofana, Fofana. He was one of the best players they had in the opening game against Guinea-Bissau. Pairing him with an experienced Frank Kessie simply means that the Ivorians may have control in terms of how they manage their midfield. And we have a Frank Onyeka who doesn't seem to really know what he's doing for Nigeria.
Yeah. Because
Alassane Yusuf, who was just thrown in on his debut campaign, was Nigeria's most visible midfielder against Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah.
And then just a surprise because you had a Frank Onyeka who plays for Brentford, who is a more accomplished midfielder for the Super Eagles. He's played so many games for us.
Yeah.
But we don't really know what he is, whether he's blowing hot or cold. I didn't really know what he did in that particular game against
He was just running around.
I didn't see him really impacting the game, whether he was breaking attacks or he was leading the charge to push the ball forward to the attacking midfielders. I don't really see much, from Frank Onyeka. So Frank Onyeka's midfield performance, you cannot compare that with what Sekou Fofana and Frank Kessie were able to do. Those are very experienced midfielders. And if we are to get anything out of the game, we simply have to hope that Alassane Yusuf will be fit enough for that game, and also will give us double of what he performed against Equatorial Guinea. Because we're talking about an Ivorian side that has good attackers, good midfielders, and even good defenders who can carry the ball and also hurt us.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're talking about an Equatorial Guinea side who just had a certain Emilion Insue, a 37-year-old who can hurt you. No, now you have talent all around the Ivorian team, from defense to the attack. Some very good players in their ranks. So we have to perform better. To me, Jose Peseiro should use these 2 days of break and look at what is really right for Eagles. Can Onyedika do a better job than Frank Onyeka?
Yeah.
Can Alassane Yusuf maybe sit back or help going forward? I don't really know what it is for Nigeria at the moment, but we need to really play as a unit because at the moment we aren't doing so.
Well, for the moment we are not doing so well. Well, this is one thing we do not want to hear in football, where an angry supporter attempted to strike Ghana coach Chris Hughton after their upset at the African Cup of Nations finals on Sunday and was taken away by police. Why do we keep hearing about these attacks? This is football. Anybody can lose. Anybody can win.
Well, it's the passion, firstly, and but it's not supposed to happen. It shows a lapse in security.
Yeah.
Because before you get close to a team's hotel or a team's coach or players, it simply means that you've breached protocols.
Yeah.
You've gotten to where you're not supposed to get to, the all access area. Either you're wearing an all access tag or you're not. And if you're not wearing an all access tag, you can't get into some parts of the stadium, which is the dressing room, and also getting close to coaches and players. So that's a very big dent on the Ivorians, the local organizing committee.
Yeah.
How did that fan get that
close?
Except we're talking about a technical crew member of Ghana attacking his own coach. I will understand. But if it is somebody who is not supposed to have any business around the team, getting as close as he could to the coach, then that's a big red flag. They need to do better. But I feel that the coach has been under pressure. Chris Hughton has not really delivered. The last World Cup, even during the qualifiers, they didn't really have a good time out there. And not forgetting that some of the big players in the team are not even playing. We're not even called up. Thomas Partey, injury worries, and he has decided to stay with Arsenal. Mohamed Kudus, I didn't see much of him in the game. In the first game against Cape Verde. So they need to get their acts right, because the coach is under increasing pressure. And if they don't get out of the group stage like they did not do in 2021, I won't be surprised if Chris Hughton is sacked by the Ghana FA.
Well, King, surprises springing up at the Nations Cup. Algeria drawing last night with Angola. Big teams like Nigeria holding, getting draws. Egypt getting draws. Is this the African Cup of Nations for the Minos?
I think it's very replicant of the beginning of cup tournament. If you can remember the World Cup in 2022, when Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, there were a lot of shocking results at the first game, because everybody is coming on the eye, because they've not lost any other points. They are coming with a new ideology, new coach, new system, new motivation, and these things will try as much as possible not to lose the first game, because they know that if they lose the first game, or if they do the first game, the chances of qualifying is going to be very, very, very slim. So that's why they all come with the same motivation. I think it's just too early to call that this is a team of it's a time of the underdogs, because every team that comes with their own different motivation and with different form of energy. So once the game starts to play on second stage, third stage, and if they continue to keep up that form, that's when you can say, okay, this team are actually the dark horses in the race.
So if there's anything that's so evident in this tournament is that every other African nation has gotten quality in their ranks.
Yeah.
Right? This is, you look at a team from Namibia, a team from Burkina Faso, a team from Mali, and you can see so many of their players also playing in Europe. Be it second division, third division, they are playing in Europe. They are playing in some of the top leagues around the world. So they've also been exposed to facilities and coaching that is also at that level where the very top nations believe that their football is. So when you assemble those players together with determination and a good coaching system, then you have teams who are coming in to ruffle the feathers of the giants. So that's what I'm seeing. I watched the game between Guinea and Cameroon yesterday, and even when the Guineans were reduced by a man at halftime, they still put out a very strong performance. If not, you would have imagined what the result would have looked like. They were carving Cameroon open with ease, and a player like Naby Keita was even on the bench in that particular encounter. So so I feel the gap is closing because the quality of football in terms of what national teams are to offer these days is gradually being closed down. These small nations now have players plying their trades in all parts of Europe and all parts of the world where football is being played with the best of facilities and the best coaching system as well.
Well, we only give you the best and the best facility and the best thing, everything you need to know and everything you need to know when it comes to the world of football and sports. Well, before we run out of the studio, one or two gossip stories. Paris Saint-Germain are considering a move for Newcastle's Brazil midfielder Bruno Guimaraes, who has a 100 million release clause. Manchester United have discussed the possibility of bidding for English winger Michael Olise in the summer and would be prepared to let English defender Aaron Wan-Bissaka move in the opposite direction. Well, this is where we call it a wrap on the show this morning. Thank you, Bellumi King, for coming around.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, the Midfield Maestro.
Thank you so much. Let's do it again at 6 p.m.
Yeah, let's do it together once more at 6 p.m. this evening. Do not touch the dial. Well, at the top of the hour, Igoyan Baba will be here to bring you newspapertainment and Niger Now newspapertainment. So remain with Rapid 96.5 FM. Interesting programs coming your way. Well, I still remain your boy, my explicit. And whenever you call me Captain Explicit, guess what? I will definitely lead your team to victory. We're out of here.